Welcome to another episode of Help with Natalie Cuomo. I'm here today with comedian and violist Isabel Hagen.
Hi.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, you got it right.
I
You're
did?
the first person. Seems like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm like really excited about the film that you're putting on,
Oh, yeah.
or that you're fundraising for.
Yeah, right. Hopefully it'll happen.
It'll happen.
Yeah, no, I'm, as you said, I'm a violist and a comedian. So I made this web series about being like a working violist in New York. And so I'm turning it into a feature film called On a String. And I'm just trying to get the Kickstarter going for that. Well, it's going.
Yeah.
But I've never done a crowdfunding campaign before, and it's crazy.
What is the most challenging thing about it?
You just like constantly having to post about it because people want to give, but you have to catch them in the right moment. And so you're just, I don't like to like harass my followers, but I feel like I kind of am these days.
So that's like, this is the time.
Yeah. So
Are you going to be doing stand-up in it?
no, it's just I'm just a violist in the movie.
Oh,
so
I like that.
It won't be like a crashing or mazel kind of thing where there's scenes of stand-up.
I feel like I grew up in New York City and you went to Juilliard.
Yes.
Did you grow up in New York or you moved here?
I grew up in New York.
Okay.
I feel like people say we're so rare,
I know.
but there's got to be more. I mean, I went to high school with a bunch of them.
Where did you go to high school?
St. Anne's.
Okay, cool.
Where did you go?
I went to Bard High School.
Bard.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a smart people high school.
It's weird that I went there.
You graduate with an associate's degree, right?
I know, yeah. But here I am.
Does everyone know?
All stupid.
Are you kidding me? I didn't mean like, oh my God, you're
No,
smart.
I didn't mean,
just meant
I
that's
feel stupid in my life.
I
Yeah.
feel very, very dumb.
I just feel like I just posted a clip about periods, and I think I learned what periods were. Like what happens when you get your period this week.
Like what did you learn about it?
I knew that like you had like millions of eggs, and then during ovulation you like let go of an egg, and then I learned what twins were, difference of fraternal and identical. I just felt like I was having science class.
Was it through an interaction with an audience member?
Well, I felt like I was getting comments saying that I was like wrong about what happens during a period, so I went on like a whole research.
Yeah, I mean, I always knew about the twins thing, but that's only because I was obsessed with the Olsen twins growing up. And I feel like one weird fact about them is that they're not identical.
They're fraternal.
I'm pretty sure they're fraternal, but they just happen to look alike.
I was obsessed with the Sprouse twins.
Oh, yeah. You're a little younger than me, so that checks out. It's like...
I love your stand-up so much. First of all, I watch both of your Fallon appearances.
Aww.
And they're so good. And I loved the way you like mix Viola into doing stand-up. Like, what was that transition like for you? Have you always done that?
No. So for 4 years I did just stand-up, but I was obviously like also a violist working, but people would be like, you should combine them. And I was like, that just sounds kind of like hacky. I don't want to be a prop comic, like there's this sort of stigma with musical comedians sometimes being like a guitar comic. And then one day I was like, I don't know, it would be cool to like incorporate it somehow because it is like a skill I've spent so much time on.
Yeah.
And finally I was like, well, what if I just like literally put them next to each other? Like I didn't try to like make a joke with the viola, but I just like did like good viola playing and then like a dirty joke. And so I tried it at an open mic. I went to Pine Box and just like went on stage with my viola and did it. And it kind of got I was like, okay, I need to quit one of these. So tell me which one. I just sort of framed it like that.
Yeah.
And it was just really fun. And so it kind of, I feel like it happened kind of organically in that way. And then I was just it was like a little fun thing I would add on. And now when I go on the road, like I'll do it at the end of my sets. Or if I'm doing like my solo show, it's obviously more incorporated, like my viola comedy solo show.
Do you do it like you did in your Tonight Show set where you do like a joke and then you play? Or is it like a longer? I almost felt like when I was listening, I wanted more of both. Like I want like a long chunk of viola too at the end.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I mean,
you're so like most guitar comics aren't as good at guitar as you are at viola.
This is true. No, but well, when I do it on the road, I'll do like basically what you saw, a little more extended, and then I do a song. I like pluck my viola and sing too.
Cool.
So, like parody songs, and then so I am kind of a guitar comic on the viola. But when I do my like one woman viola comedy show, there is like they're long playing chunks and then like more like serious moments, and it's more like theater, you know?
I love that.
Yeah.
I think Juilliard is an incredible school. Like, I love that joke you have. I remember, like, even from before I watched you do it, and I thought it was so funny when I have to stop paraphrasing people's jokes on my own podcast.
No, please do.
But basically, when you're like, when people haven't heard of Juilliard, and you're like, no, you wouldn't get in.
Right.
It's such a funny joke. What was it like going there? Was it a really intense school?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. This is gonna sound like douchey, but like I did like a pre-college program before it for 5 years, so I was like going there every Saturday from age 13. So I was like really used to the environment by the time I got to the college program. So it wasn't like so intense.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like stressful and like really competitive. And like now when I sort of like feel like competition in stand up, it like I get like I'm like no, I don't want to like go there. I don't want to feel like we're like at odds. Like I went through that with like the viola concerto competitions and like feeling super jealous and like triggered by hearing the person practice next door. And yeah, so it was competitive. I would say, like, unlike, have you seen Whiplash?
No, I haven't.
It's this movie about like a drummer at like a Juilliard type school, and like the teacher's like super intense and it's like abusive and all of that. And everyone's always like, is it like Whiplash? And like, no, like I had one teacher that made me cry, but I feel like the intensity comes more from your peers than from like the teachers being like, you must be perfect, you know? Like it's really just us like being dicks to each other.
And being like, there's only one spot.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it changed the way you approach stand-up?
Well, I only did stand up like after having been in this environment. So I feel like it definitely like influenced it in terms of like, I understood like how to work at something really hard and like what discipline it is, what it would take. Like I feel like I had respect for the craft before I did it, because I was like, I know this is like a different thing that I need to learn now. So yeah, I guess it like I took it seriously from the beginning because I really wanted to do it, and I knew how hard it would be.
What made you want to do stand-up?
I just always loved stand-up. Like my brother would watch a lot of George Carlin. I have an older brother. And I would watch it over his shoulder and just be like, what is this? This is so cool and like amazing. And he's like a genius, but I'm laughing. And how could anyone do that? And then I never, you know, like how would I even start doing that? And it wasn't an option, I thought. And I was just so serious about music. But then I got an injury in my wrist and I couldn't play for a little while. And so I was like, I'm just going to go to an open mic. And I've been kind of writing jokes for myself. And I just went, and it was probably horrible, but I loved it. You know how it goes, your first open mic. Do you remember your first open mic?
Yeah, it was tragic.
Where was it?
Well, it was like 3 where I tried to go to New York Comedy Club and it was canceled. I walked to Greenwich, that was canceled.
I did the same thing.
And then I went to Karma Lounge and I talked way too fast.
I feel like that's a big thing when I see like, and now because so many people post clips, even when they're kind of new, I'll see like newer comics posting clips and I'm like, oh, that's what I sounded like. Like I kind of have like compassion for them. I'm like, yeah, you just talk a little too fast. Yeah. You'll get there. Like
it's funny because I don't watch a lot of the clips with the sound on unless I really have like an intention around why I'm watching it. But it does change everything when you turn the sound on. When you're just watching the subtitles, you're like, huh, why does that? It's harder to break down until you turn the sound on. You hear everything.
Yeah, the timing is everything.
Yeah.
The delivery.
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you were on the Tonight Show playing viola before you did stand up there, right?
Yeah. I would back up certain like musical artists, so I would be very much in the background, just looking sad on the viola, playing whole notes. Yeah, it was. But I always sort of had that where I was like, oh, one day I'll like be here telling jokes, and I would try to like manifest it when I was in the studio and stuff.
Yes.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I went with Dan because he and his grandma were on the Tamron Hall show. And there is something about being in the studio where you see it and you're like, okay, I'm going to be a talk show host. I'm going to manifest this.
Yeah.
There's something about seeing it where you're just like, it's like a podcast, but better. I'm like, I gotta revamp my podcast. I gotta make it as close to a talk show as I can after seeing and being there and like feeling the energy of people backstage, people working on stuff. You're like, oh shit, I'm closer to it now and I have a clear image of what I want for my future.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good sign when you see kind of the highest version of what you want to do and you don't feel like intimidated. You're just like, oh yeah,
You're like, I'm coming.
Yeah, I got this. I know.
Totally.
That's great. Oh, so I didn't know you were thinking of that as an aspiration, being like a more of a talk show host.
I mean, I wasn't, but
until you were there.
Yeah, when I was there, I was like, I want to do this. And then Dan's like, yeah, everyone wants to do this.
Not everyone. I don't think I want to be a talk show host. Not because I think I just don't think I have like it in me.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of work in a specific kind of way.
It's interesting because I feel like it's a type of work that people don't acknowledge as being work. They're just like, oh, you're having a you're getting paid to have a conversation and look beautiful, is kind of how you would approach like a female talk show host. But there's so many intricacies in. I was just paying attention to. It was the first time I'd really watched Tamron Hall, but she was very sensitive in her conversation. She was talking. Yeah, she was like that. She was talking to this man about how he lost his son, and she was just really sensitive and on her quick. I was impressed with her.
Yeah, just the ability to like go deep and connect that easily, and also like with such a touchy subject, I'd be so anxious that I would just like say the wrong thing.
She said all the right things. It was crazy, but
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it was cool. I feel like that line between cheesy and I'm actually very moved by this. I'm always on the I'm very moved by the cheesy thing.
I love cheesy things. I love cheesy music. I love cheesy food. That's the dumbest thing I've ever said. But I'm owning it. I love like anything that makes me cry, even if I'm like I know they were trying to get me to cry, but it worked. I'm fell for it and I'm enjoying this, like feeling this emotion right now.
Do you feel like music makes you emotional?
Oh yeah, it's like a drug.
Yeah.
I mean, certain music. I love film score music. Like I love listening to it even like without film, just because it's designed to make you feel stuff.
That's
so
true.
I'm such a sucker for like all that stuff, like Max Richter and like some like Philip Glass scores, and you know all those like people that make you cry.
So if you're on the subway, like what are you listening to?
I will listen to like really intense emotional music sometimes on the subway, and I like it because it kind of like makes me look around. It's like the soundtrack to everyone I'm looking at, and I'm like, what's their story?
Yeah.
Like instead of being annoyed by all the people, I'm like, I bet they have like a dark past, or I bet they're hurting right now. You know, not in like a pervert, not like I hope they are. But
but
I
like
bet they
empathy.
are. Yeah, I don't know. I like listening to sad music because I feel like it makes me less anxious. Whereas if I listen to like peppy music, sometimes I'm just like, I can't. I don't know. What kind of music do you like to listen to?
I don't like listening to music a lot of the time because it makes me emotional, but I've been listening to a lot more. I feel like I like rock and indie music, but lately just like angry girl singers are too enjoyable for me. If I have a long car ride by myself, like I can't help but notice 45 minutes in, I'm just like singing an embarrassing song.
Oh, hell yeah. That's great.
But I think I like grew up loving musical theater. So I think that kind of energy is actually in so much pop music.
I love musical theater too. It's like the cheesy thing again. It's like borderline.
Yeah.
And also some musical theater is just very good and not cheesy. I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says.
So you played in some orchestra pits, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's interesting because it goes very quickly from like super anxiety producing to like the most boring repetitive thing you've ever done. So what makes it anxiety producing is that you don't get to rehearse if you're a sub like I was. So you just come in and like cover when someone's out. You don't get to rehearse. You just go in one time and like sit with the music while the show is happening in the pit, and then you practice the music and you come in and you play your first show. So like there's no like room for mistakes really. You're just, and if you make a mistake that's like like you can get like not approved and like they won't have you back. So there's like all this pressure, and it's like, and then you play, you know, your 20th show, and then you're just like, all right. And then you're on your 100th show and you're just like, I want to die. Some people are more suited for it than I am. I'm just the repetitive thing. Like I go to a dark place.
Yeah, I can see that.
But the pit's like a whole world, because then depending on the show and how visible you are, I mean, people like watch the game on their iPad while they're playing. Like,
no way.
My stand partner had the whole book memorized and would read a Kindle. Like he had a Kindle on like half of the stand, and I was like reading the music, and he would just be like reading and playing. Like, because
Wow.
you just, once you play it a certain amount of times, it's just muscle memory.
I feel like I always looked at people in the pit, and I specifically paid attention to the conductor. Are conductors stereotyped in classical music training? Like, what is the is it a type of person?
Yeah. I mean, obviously my brother's a conductor.
Oh, really?
I don't know if he falls totally into the stereotype though that I'm about to say, but they're always like very polished. Like I feel like they're always like, whenever they would come into rehearsal, they always looked like they just stepped out of like a steam room and like have just had a massage and are in like a perfectly crisp sweater, and they're just like, good morning, everybody. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's this sort of, they have to be like this perfect like guru type almost.
It's weird because when you don't know anything about music and you're just watching it, you're like, how come this guy is the one on display and he's just waving his arms?
I know. And then there's like orchestras who play without conductors, and then you're like, oh, so I guess you don't need them. But the thing about my take is that you don't need a conductor, but a good one makes a difference, because like a good one will like inspire energy and sort of give you something you didn't even know you needed, like a little jolt. But then a bad conductor can really detract. But generally, of course, they're going to be like the ones who have a big ego, because they've decided to be the ones who are in charge of everything,
Yeah.
So kind of like it's same with different instruments. Like violinists, stereotypically, like they might have a bigger ego than a violist because they're more featured as soloists than like a violist is. Viola is more like the inner voice playing within the group, like a team member.
What made you want to play viola out of all the instruments?
I started on violin when I was 5, and when I was 10, I had a crush on a guy who played the viola. And I was like, I want to be just like him. He's so cool. But at the same time, my mom was like, well, if you switch to viola, you'll get way more opportunities. Because like, especially when you're a kid, a lot of kids don't play viola. They switch like later on. So it was like this simultaneous, like trying to be this guy, be just like my crush. And also like, I was getting all these opportunities suddenly. And I was like, oh, I'm so needed as a violist. So it was kind of like an ego thing, but I liked being a team player. I liked the role of like not having all the pressure and eyes on me. I guess that came later with stand-up. But
did you grow up in a musical family?
Yeah. So my older brother is a pianist and a conductor, and my dad's a jazz sax player. And my mom, not professional, but she like played piano pretty seriously and is like music. She's artistic. So
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do they watch your stand up?
They do. They're really supportive. My dad laughs really loudly, like at the dirtiest jokes. It's
Same.
pretty awesome. Yeah, your parents watch you.
They
so
like
sweet.
the dirty jokes for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. They just like they get a kick out of it. I can like hear my dad's laugh when he laughs. Like I know what it sounds like, so I'm like, oh God, I can't believe he just laughed at that.
Do you acknowledge it on stage?
I have never acknowledged my dad. There's one time when my brother came to a show and he has a really distinct laugh. And I was doing a joke about our dad that was like kind of dirty. And I was like, that's my brother, by the way, laughing. And it was like a really fun moment.
I like that.
Yeah.
There's a moment I realized that like my mom has the dirtiest sense of humor. Like I realized, I think a couple years ago, I was like, oh my God, like she really likes dirty jokes, like not even with stand up.
Yeah.
And then I kind of saw how that influenced my stand up just from like knowing that those were the things that she joked about. And the more I pay attention to her trying to make jokes all the time, because she's kind of a silly person, I'm like, do I joke in that style from my mom?
You're like, did I get it from her? Like she always wanted to be a comedian.
It's weird because growing up, I had this like our family friends would say she's funny, and it made me more mad than anything in the world.
Really?
Yeah, and like I'd be like, my mom's not funny.
Was it like what was that? Like a vulnerability thing? Like, because okay, my dad is a saxophone player. He used to like sing with bands, like did a lot of like club dates. And one time at my cousin's bat mitzvah, he like sat in with the band and like suddenly was like singing this song and like owning the stage when I was like 11. And he was really good, but I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, seeing your parents like when you're young in like a performing kind of way. It feels like unsafe almost, or I don't know.
Yeah, I get that. It is very vulnerable just being a performer. And I don't know why. I just didn't think, I really in my heart remember not thinking that she was funny and being like mad that people think this is funny.
So you were more just like, you're wrong. She's not funny.
But I mean, she obviously was like, she'd make people laugh and be like, Natalie, I know you hate this, but your mom's hilarious. And I'd be like,
does she make you laugh now?
She's very silly. Like the more I spend time with her, I see like how her silliness is why I'm the way I am.
That's so sweet though.
It is. Yeah, I love my mom. She's good. She's very silly. She does voices and stuff. I do a lot of voices like at home, but I haven't really brought voices to my act at all.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of impressions and voices, and my mom's always like, "Why don't you do this on stage?" And I'm like, Mom, like I really don't think it would work. I really don't think this is the direction I should go.
Do you feel that way? Because sometimes I'm like, if I were this comfortable, maybe it would work.
Yeah.
But also my voices are so bad. I think that's why they're entertaining to me. I tried doing a Southern accent on stage in Jersey and it was terrible. You do a British accent and it's really good.
For like 2 seconds though. Well, yeah, I do think I'm like pretty decent at voices and certain impressions I can randomly do, but I still like, I don't know. It's a different type of performance where you have to be like, okay, this is, Brad Pitt, if he was a shark, and then you do, I don't know. I've just never even considered like doing that. Maybe we should both do that.
I know. One day we're just going to like randomly start doing voices in the middle of our set.
Yeah, but that's a good point. Like, is the goal to get like as comfortable as we are around like our parents or our significant others or whatever, like, or is that just for the home?
Yeah. Does the world need to see everything?
Right.
So I really want to know more about this film. Your budget is that you're trying to raise $100,000, and you guys are pretty close in a short period of time.
We're kind of on track. We're gonna get to the halfway point soonish, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. We have like 17 days left. If you have $1, you can put it in, please. I need your $1.
How did you come to that number?
So the whole budget's $300K, but that's with post.
Okay.
And it's like actually micro budget. Like when my producer and I were breaking down everything, we were like, okay, like we better not go over budget. Like it's like not that much to make a feature, 300,000. But we didn't want to go over 300,000 because of like SAG contracts. Like if it's over 300, you have to use like more union stuff. So it becomes more expensive. So you might as well go to $1 million. So it's like this weird thing where like either be under 300,000 or go for the $1 million. So I was like, well, I don't want to raise $1 million. So let's just do 300.
Where does that money go?
Paying a lot of it goes to the camera equipment, the camera package, paying the DP, paying the sound is so expensive, paying all the actors, SAG rates, locations, post-production, all the editing and coloring that adds up. It's just like everything just adds up really, really quickly.
Yeah.
It's really scary, actually.
I can totally see that because a lot of films have like millions and millions of dollars behind them.
And you're like, what about this costed that much? It's like I see like something that looks really indie low budget and it was like $2 million even. I'm like, you used like 2 locations and they were both apartments. Like what was the money for?
Totally.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of money wasted in film production. So we're trying not to do that. We're trying to really like know what we need going in.
What can you tell me about the story without giving it away?
Yeah. Well, so the web series I made was I've played a lot of like random gigs around New York City as a violist the last 10 years, like that sort of bring me into people's personal lives. Like I've played marriage proposals and weddings and like I find myself like, oh, I'm in this person's home playing for their private party. And it just gave me this idea to do a web series where each episode's like a different weird gig that happens. So sort of more like anthological in that way. And so I made this little 5-part web series that's essentially that. It kind of veers off here and there. That I was going to want to develop it into like a half-hour comedy show, scripted, but then I was like, I just want to make a movie. So I kind of adapted it into a film. And so the film is kind of that. It's a Juilliard graduate who finds herself playing all these like strange gigs, and at the same time is like, do I even love this? Have I ever loved music? And kind of the reality of pursuing your dreams. And she lives at home with her family, and she has a best friend that has a falling out with that, and is, pursuing the New York Phil audition, even though she doesn't really want it, and I'm giving a lot away. So, but yeah, so it's really a movie about like the reality of following your dreams.
What do you feel? I mean, that's such a deep sentiment. What do you feel about that? You're following two dreams.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my personal feelings are that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter all that much, because you're kind of just, you're stuck with yourself and your relationships that you have, and it's the people around you, and everything is like going to be shitty at certain points. But also just not being afraid, if you are questioning what you're doing, like what else is out there? Like, I know a lot of musicians, because we have to start so young to get to the level we're at. Like, it's like all we know. And so I feel like I talk to a lot of freelance classical musicians now who are just like, oh my God, like you're doing comedy. Like, I feel like I want to do something else. Like, I don't need, it's just like, there's this really lost feeling that I don't think is specific to classical musicians. It's just, that's the lens that I have. So I'm using that one. Yeah. But I think everyone goes through that at some point, or multiple times in their life, where Definitely. It's just like, and you're kind of maybe afraid to find out what else is out there. And that it's okay to like fall out of love with something.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've seen people fall out of love with music and then have to keep playing, or?
Yeah, I see a lot of people who go and do really cool things, like violists who are now like, cybersecurity experts or whatever. They like took classes and they're doing other cool stuff now, or now like they're like someone is like a cook, or so I see that. And then I see people on gigs where I'm like, you desperately want out of this and you don't know how. Like, I can see it in them, because I feel that. And that's why that's why I'm doing comedy. I'm literally like trying to kind of quit viola and just do my own stuff. But
is there a big physical strain on the way you're playing these types of instruments? I always imagined like it's on your shoulder for long periods of time. You're practicing. I mean, stand up, you're just talking.
So easy. Yeah, it's a huge. I mean, that's how I got injured originally, was just repetitive stress from playing. Like, people get injured really easily playing. Some people are more prone to it than others. I'm a little weakling, so I have like tendonitis and carpal tunnel all the time and whatever. But yeah, it's like physically tiring. It's late. Like when I play like a 3-hour background gig at some party where we can't even hear ourselves, but we're supposed to just keep playing, and it's like I hesitate to say physical labor, because there are jobs that are way more physically taxing than playing the viola, but it does feel, it's like a physical thing. I'm exhausted after.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
It would be cool to know how to play an instrument, though. It is like a superpower, because when you say you brought someone to your house and you're like, I do comedy, they're not going to be like, do a comedy skit right here. But you really technically could just like play them a lullaby.
I could. Yeah. And I have. One time when I was in high school, I had a guy over, and it was like we were so not a match, but we had both been told that we thought the other one was cute. So we were like, let's, and he was like, play for me. And I like played him some solo Bach, and he was just like, wow. And then we like sat in bed and watched once, like this next to each other. And then he just went home. It was very awkward.
Oh no.
So that was that date.
Is your boyfriend a musician?
He is, yeah. But he's not classical. He's more like rock, and he writes like commercial music and stuff. So cool. He writes music people listen to.
My mom plays classical music for dogs every time she leaves the house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I know she's not home if there's classical music playing, because that's like what the dogs listen to.
Oh, that's so funny. You have the classiest dogs. Do you think it really calms them? Like, does it have a good effect on them?
I mean, I guess so. It's like there's always classical music playing for the dogs.
Wow.
It's kind of adorable, because there's this one little cute gray dog, and he looks like a little man, and you're like, he just loves Mozart. Like, it's
he's just delighted.
He really does. He's just a little man that likes classical music.
How many dogs does your mom have?
She has 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have 1, so 3 dogs.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh my God. I haven't followed any of it, but I feel like early. Okay. I feel like I had like a warning sign early on because I got to play a lot of gigs when I was younger and saw like the life I would lead and realized quickly that it wasn't what I wanted. And I also have a dad who's a professional musician, and I remember him always telling me like, you know, these gigs you're playing just lead to more of the same. So like, you know, really like it's important to like create your own thing and like have sort of ownership over something if you're feeling like you want that.
That's cool.
I feel like the best advice I've received is record and listen back to my sets.
For music and stand-up?
Yeah, actually, recording yourself and listening back. If you do anything involving sound, because comedy is music.
Yeah.
It's totally music. Because there's just always going to be stuff you did not hear, and your perception is always off. Like, I never killed as hard as I thought or bombed as badly as I thought. And with viola, like, I would record myself, and the part that I thought was really bad was actually like, oh, that sounds good. And actually, whoa, that part sounds like crap. And I had no idea until I stepped back.
Is it just as hard to listen to yourself playing viola as it is to hear your own voice? Like, I am kind of used to hearing my own voice because I edit my clips in my podcast. But there's definitely a lot of times where it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I don't listen to myself playing as much as I listen to my own voice now because I'm always listening back to sets and stuff. And so I'm like so used to my voice, even if I didn't like it to begin with.
Yeah.
With viola, I'm like any scratch or like slightly out of tune note, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm horrible.
Oh, really?
I'm so embarrassed.
Do you feel more critical of yourself with viola?
Totally.
Because
it's a more precise art. That sounds so like, but it is like with comedy, like so many mistakes can be made into like these gems. Whereas with classical music, you're like trying to execute a piece, like kind of exactly how it's written on a page, plus your own interpretation on top of it. But like bass line, you want to get all the notes right. And so a mistake is like actually a mistake.
Right.
So I'm like, I just feel all this pressure, like it has to be perfect. And people are judging me.
So do you get more nervous when you play than when you do stand up?
Yeah, and it compounds because like when I'm nervous with stand up, if my hands are shaking, I can still tell a joke. But if my hands shake with viola, it like totally screws me up. So I'm also like nervous about getting nervous with viola. Whereas in stand up, I'm never like, I hope I don't get nervous because if I get nervous, it'll just give me more energy on stage kind of. So there's like this whole double thing. Viola, I'm really like messed up in the head with viola.
It's so crazy. You're so good at it. Like you're amazing at it.
Thank you. But I mean, it's just like, it's a whole mess.
Do you feel just as competitive with stand up?
No, because, well, and I don't feel competitive with viola now either because I don't really give a shit. And also, there aren't really other violist comedians out there at this point. If there are, I will murder them. No. But no, it would, if there was another violist comedian, they would probably be really different. And I feel like with stand-up too, I always find it silly when people are competitive because I'm like, we're all like different. Yeah. I mean, it's never like, rarely is it gonna be like, I don't know. Everyone's so different. It's cheesy, but we're all finding our own voice. So like, you're only in competition with yourself and like the audience, like trying to impress them.
Yeah.
And like, sure, someone might get something and you don't get it, but like, and that's like that sucks in the moment. But in general, I'm not like, oh, you know, I don't know.
I saw this comic recently who like recently got a bigger following. And I was like, congratulations, like you're killing it. And he's like, yeah, it's great. It's just, you know how it is. Like people see your success as a personal attack on them. And I was really surprised that when I was like, you're doing really great, this person was only feeling all the negative attention they were getting from their peers. And I can totally relate to that, especially in stand-up. And I just find it was really well articulated that he said he feels like his own success, other people feel like, is a personal attack on theirs.
Right. Which is, and I'm guilty of that. I'll see someone who has like a way bigger following than me and be like, oh shit. And I don't even resent them, but I'm just like, it makes me anxious. Yeah. You know, because I'm like, should I have that big of a following? Like, but it's like no one's success prevents your success. I don't know, this isn't advice I've received. This is like something I came to, where like, if we're all like, if like, okay, I made a little, this sounds like I'm plugging like a video I made, but I just like, I need it for myself. Like, let's say you want to go to a destination.
Mm-hmm.
There are like people already at that destination right now, like in Cleveland, or people on their way to Cleveland, and we're not on our way to Cleveland, but like we could totally go to Cleveland. Like, they don't prevent us from going.
Right.
And I feel like that's the same with like any career, like goal you want. Like, if anyone reaches it, why would it mean you wouldn't reach it too? It's just proof that you can reach it, actually.
Yeah.
So I try to flip it. I'm like, okay, well, if they can achieve that, like probably so could I. Like the Tamron Hall.
Right. I think that comes with a feeling of security. And since you really don't seem like you're super like angry competitive with stand up, like you just seem very like relaxed into it, which I feel like, do you think that comes from having success in viola and understanding what that takes, and then you're able to trust the process more?
I definitely trust the process, and actually reverse, comedy like made me trust the process more with viola, because like when you're bad at something again and then you get like not bad at it, you're like, oh, I can get better. Whereas like when you're advanced and making these like incremental improvements every day, you're just like, am I even getting better? And then I think more though with like, if I seem not competitive, I'm blocking it for my own mental health, because like I could totally get like angry and competitive, and I fall into that sometimes, but I think it's more like for my own benefit. I'm just like, you know what? Everyone's just floating and doing their own thing on their own path, and I'm happy for them, and I'm happy, and I feel like it's just it's a nicer energy to exude anyway.
100%.
But no, I'm like jealous, and but don't get jealous, get inspired. Don't get jealous, get inspired. Yes. That's another piece of advice.
I like that too. I like that. Did you open for the National or play with the National?
Yeah, I just played with them a few times, and I wish I could open for them.
That would be
cool. If they ever want a comedian on their show. Yeah, I just played in the. Fun fact: are you a Taylor Swift fan?
I like her.
Okay, I'm not like a Swiftie, but I played. I think I was playing at the show where she, like, was backstage and decided she wanted to like collaborate with Aaron Dessner of the National.
Oh, that's cool.
We like stepped off stage and she was like back there, and then like a year later she had an album with Aaron Dessner.
They're so talented.
They are prolific, talented.
I loved them in high school, and my dad would like listen to music I liked as a way to like bond with me in high school. And the National was one of those bands he texted me like, "Hey Nat, I'm listening to the National."
That's so sweet.
The National, like Angel Olsen, that whole sort of indie vibe that can either make you feel sad with them or just kind of relaxed.
Yeah, the National really relaxes me. I like putting it on at home, and also my downstairs neighbor plays a lot of National. We like can hear it pumping through. I'm like, oh, they're listening to the National.
You're like, you can tell what mood you're in.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's so sweet about your dad.
I know. He does do sweet things.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more positive and like focus on positive qualities in people. Sometimes I'm just really focused on the negative, and then I wind up sitting and feeling guilty that I'm such a negative person when things are going well.
Yeah, like you're not only like negative, but then you're like, and why am I negative? It like doubles down.
Yeah. And you just start like being like, why am I this person that's not able to appreciate the things that I have?
I mean, it's like we're not like, it's because nothing will make us happy. Nothing will ever be enough except if we just decide like, it's enough, I guess.
Do you have like an idea of what you want your ideal career to look like 10 years from now?
Yes. I've thought about it a lot lately. I think because I'm in my 30s and I'm starting to think if I'd want like a kid and how that would all fit in and stuff. But I honestly, my ideal career would be to like put out a movie every few years and put out a stand-up special every 2 or 3 years, and like tour around part of the year with the like special in the making.
That's cool.
And just like keep putting stuff out like that, and then kind of chill otherwise.
That sounds like there's no time to chill.
I
That
know.
sounds like a lot of stuff to do.
No, I would like there would be like a period between the movie and the special, and I
Yeah.
don't know. I would like schedule it all out, but
I like
I
that.
want to put out a few really good movies and like some really good stand up and get to and just perform. I love live performance. So
Me too. I think there's something about live performance that is why I really like theater, because everyone's like sharing this experience. When you're watching someone in a movie or you're watching stand up online, it's like your experience with your TV or your idea of that person. But I just love everyone in the same room feeling that energy. It's like one of the only examples of like real energy being a real thing that I find to be tangible in my life.
yeah, and you can't. It's just not recreated on the screen at all.
Yeah.
It's just a different thing. And there are comedians. I feel like I watch their special and I'm like, but I feel like if I was there, I'd be loving this. You know, like just there is something so lost
Yeah.
in the translation of it from.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I think it's like it's this tangible energy. I mean, I'm not like that, like, ooh, but I do like energy is a real thing, and
Yeah.
and you're in the room with them, and everyone, and also you're experiencing with a group who's
Right.
all laughing, and laughter is contagious. So I feel like that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
And it's like also, especially as our world becomes more and more like people like content, like in their phone, like to have a moment that will never exist again. I mean, unless you recorded them, but like this moment of with us together will never exist again. So it's like you're experiencing something that has value in that way.
There's this pressure to just capture every single good thing that happens, and almost if you didn't capture it, then who cares? And I feel the need to be liberated from that so badly, because it just takes you out of enjoying the moment.
Totally. Like I hate taking pictures when I'm a tourist because I feel like then I'm just looking at the photo and like, but then people are like, how did you not take more pictures? And I'm like, I don't know. I was just like enjoying it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a pressure to capture everything and you're,
I feel like when I do something well, I want to capture it.
of course.
But like when we were in Texas and we did like 6 shows at the House of Comedy, and this girl taped 4 of the shows. So like we could have the sets, but I actually liked the 6th show that she didn't tape the best. And I just felt like it was my best performance. And I was just trying to come to terms with, you know what? I'm actually happy that she wasn't there for that. I'm happy. It got to live in the moment, I guess. But,
Well, maybe because she wasn't taping, that's why it was so good.
right.
So you knew it would never happen again.
And it doesn't, yeah, I wore a beaver costume.
Oh, I love that. I think I saw some shots of you in a beaver costume. I was
Yeah.
like, when did that happen?
I did 45 minutes in a beaver costume, but
I feel like that's a great way to feel loose on stage is wear something ridiculous.
yeah, I felt so comfortable, and I was like, I want to just wear onesies on stage, but I can't be like the girl that wears weird onesies.
I mean, you're kind of in a onesie right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that could be a thing. You could pivot into the onesie territory.
I changed my walk-up music. Do you care about your walk-up music?
Oh no, I hate when people ask me what I want my walk-up music to be because I'm like, I don't know, something cool. Like I don't have good music taste. Like what do you walk up to?
Well, one time someone put on Smells Like Teen Spirit, so I was just like, all right, that works. And now I kind of feel that I could pick a song where I could use the energy from and not just a random song. Because when I wore the beaver costume, I picked this Morgan Wallen song that I like.
Yeah.
Or Morgan Wallen, however you say his name. And I was like so amped up to be hearing a song that I love. And that's when I kind of understood how it could be important to pick your song, but also it doesn't matter.
No, you're right. The energy from the song. I think it's because like if I picked a song that gave me energy, I'd feel like embarrassed by it, or I don't know. It would have. I do like 80s like hits from the 80s, and I feel like that's a good walk up thing, and no one's gonna judge you, right?
No,
it's like
everyone loves it.
freaking aha, whatever.
Yeah.
I
I had such an embarrassing moment in 5th grade because I would loved musicals,
Yeah.
and we had this like 5th grade dance, and before the dance, everyone like wrote down the song they wanted the DJ to play and like handed it in, and everyone's putting in like Gwen Stefani, Bananas. I put in Good Morning Baltimore from Hairspray. And we were at the 5th grade dance, and everyone's dancing and like being 5th graders, and Good Morning Baltimore starts playing, and everyone just stops dancing. They're like, ew, what is this? And I like ran to the bathroom. I was so embarrassed.
Oh,
No one knew that I picked it, but still just like hearing it blasting over the speakers and everyone being like, ugh.
Oh, that would break my heart. Wait, so you weren't like just dancing in the middle for like, good morning? Like,
No, I specifically remember the bathrooms there because I went and I was like,
oh no. Yeah, I would totally have done something like that. I don't think I ever was in that situation, but no, I loved musicals. I feel like Smells Like Teen Spirit is like very on brand for you. You like it, you know?
yeah.
I like that for you.
Yeah, I like that. I feel like it's overdone,
Maybe.
but
I mean, I don't think I've heard other comics walk up to it.
it's true.
So like a song, it's overdone as a song in general.
Yeah, and people don't get excited when they hear it.
Right. What's the song? I feel like certain songs, everyone's always like, ah. Okay, you know what song I really like is Africa by Toto.
Oh,
That's like a
that
pump
song
up.
is good.
But it's not really a good walk-up song because it starts really chill. So it would be kind of like...
Yeah, and if you're going up to a song called Africa, I'd be like, well...
Yeah, I know the title is... No, I should just really lean in. I should walk up to I Dreamed a Dream from Les Mis. And
Yes.
just
That's like #1 audition song for musical theater.
Yeah.
I never sang it, though. And I feel like my voice is not good. If it was, I definitely fantasize about like singing. I see the line for Irving Plaza when I'm like doing shows at the Stand.
Yeah.
And then I'll look up who the musician is, and I'm like, oh my God, they must be having so much fun tonight. Just like singing in front of a group of people feels like maybe you could let go and lose yourself more than you could in stand up.
Totally, because you're not tethered to like getting a certain reaction out of them at a certain moment.
Yeah.
It's just like this wash of, and it's the same with like any music. Like I feel that when it's good, like playing viola for people, I'm just like lost in it, and like I'm like I'm giving them a gift, and like
your flow.
Yeah. But did you ever do musical theater or sing at all?
Yeah, I did musical theater until I was like in high school.
Okay.
And then I was bullied enough to be like, I can't.
Because like you weren't good, or just because for doing musical theater, like?
I think my confidence was just shot, and when you don't have like the confidence to do that, it's not fun. Weirdly, stand up is what gave me like my confidence back after high school, because falling on your face and then getting better just made me feel like I could do anything.
Totally.
So that's why I feel grateful to stand up for that, even though there's so much rejection. What was it like doing Just for Laughs Comedy Festival?
Oh boy, it was kind of just a whirlwind. I mean, you get there, you can't tell anyone you get it until like 2 days before. So it seems like everyone's just finding out, and then all of a sudden you're at the festival, and then the next day you do your big showcase show. And for me, it was like a packed theater, and I did my best 5 minutes, and it went great. And then I was just like, then you're supposed to like network. I'm terrible at that. So I was like feeling a little like, should I be talking to more people? Like, I feel like my set was good, but I don't know what to do. And so that was a little anxiety inducing, but it was very fun, you know, and there's this excitement, and like all these amazing comics are there, and we're all kind of hanging out in the streets of Montreal. But the show itself, like I feel like I almost blacked out. Like I have a recording. I know it went well because I like listened back and everything. But it was just kind of like, it was just done. And I think I was like second or third on my show. It was like really quick.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Plus, you're used to doing much longer performances. Like you're going on the road, you're headlining. So getting really nervous for 5 minutes always feels so weird.
But I wasn't headlining yet. I don't think I'd ever done more than a half hour at that
really?
point. Yeah.
That's cool.
So it wasn't like, oh, it's so short, you know? Like it wasn't until I did that and then got found that I could use that to like start headlining.
Do you like touring?
Yes and no. I mean, I love the different experiences. I love getting to do longer sets, and like there's so much to explore, and it's just it's a different muscle than doing like a tight 5 or 10.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. The travel, especially like, cause I'm at like a pretty like low level headlining right now where I don't always get to bring someone. I don't always have like a tour manager. I'm like alone a lot of the time in like depressing cities, and that's really hard, but it's never for that long. It's just like weekends. So, you get over it, but there is like a bulletproof thing too. Cause I'm just like, yeah, I can do anything. I just did a freaking like hour in Bananas in Rutherford, New Jersey, in a conference room, like for people who are not listening. Like, whatever, nothing can get me down.
I always feel so confident when I come back from the road. I'm like, oh, I'm doing 10 minutes in a city that I'm from. Okay. Oof.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to like an hour in like bumfuck nowhere where, everyone has a spit cup.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you enjoy doing the longer sets and like getting into that zone?
Definitely. I feel like that's how I've like become a stronger comic, from doing longer sets. Like, I know people are like always reluctant when you haven't been doing comedy as long and you're going out on the road and doing longer sets. But I think that's where I get inspired to write, or like I learn how to make my material something that appeals to everyone, not just angsty people in their late 20s. You know what's interesting? I'm 28. I always thought of myself as like young. But being 28, everyone is like, you're basically 30. Like, I feel like I'm getting called 30 so much. I never once when I was 27. But now being 28, everyone's like, you're basically 30. You need to get it together. How are you doing this at 30? And I'm like, whoa. Did you find anything similar to that?
Okay, I feel like I was robbed of 28 to 30 because that was COVID. Like, I went into COVID 28 and I came out in my 30s.
Yeah.
So hard to say, because I feel like I had almost like a pass in those years because no one was doing anything. But yeah, I remember like once I turned 27, I was like, holy shit, this is the first time I feel like embarrassed by my age, which is so fucked up. And it's like, a man would never feel that way at 27.
Yeah.
But it was like a very like a shift. And then 28, I felt like I was basically 30. I never had like a life plan though, so it wasn't like, oh, I thought I would have this by 30, so like that's good. Don't have a plan. Yeah, because you won't do it. But yeah, don't let people rob you of the last 2 years of your 20s. You are 28. You're in your 20s.
I'm in my 20s.
You're a spring chicken.
I am a spring chicken.
Yeah. And I thought you look younger, but you don't act younger.
Okay.
So I don't want you to think like I thought you were younger because you seemed juvenile.
No, that's
just because you have a good skincare routine.
Thank you. I don't wash my face.
I think that's the trick.
Right?
Yeah, because men don't wash their face and their skin looks great.
Yeah, I feel like the face products, I feel like, make your skin addicted to them.
It's a sham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you wash your face?
I don't every day. When I wear makeup, I take it off. But I have a very haphazard skincare routine, and I actually think it's good to do less. So.
Can I ask you? This is so random, but basically, was watching your Tonight Show sets. Your jokes are amazing. Your outfits, like, so good.
Oh,
I felt like I was like, oh my God, your outfit was so good. I'm like, how did you pick this? Like, how did you decide what to wear?
Went to an H&M and found a jacket.
Really?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the first time it was like a whole stressful thing, and I had my friend's mom helping me because she's like a fashionista, but she was picking all this stuff that just wasn't right, and I was just like, no. So then I just went to Aritzia one day and like found this red blazer and was like, okay, this works if I just wear it over like a t-shirt. And then like the Converse were just like, oh, what if I had like cool, I was kind of channeling like Ellen vibes, Like
I love the white socks and the white Converse.
Well, I think I had black socks in my first one, but then the white socks made it like kind of goofier, which I feel like it looked kind of goofy.
I liked them. I was
thanks.
like, I want to wear this.
Do it. I mean, all you need is a good jacket, and then the rest of the outfit comes together.
I feel like people like dress so differently on late night that even though I know it's not true, I was like, is there a person that styles everyone?
No, I wish. I mean, there's probably help if you like ask for it. And there is like a rack of clothes back there. And I'm like, I wonder if that's if like someone forgets their jacket or something.
Spill something.
Yeah, but you're kind of on your own. I mean, the booker will be like, the curtain is dark blue, so don't wear black or dark blue,
Yeah.
So you're not a floating head. But that was like the only advice.
When I did my half hour at the Stand, I really didn't know what to wear. It was like the night before. I went to Aritzia and I bought like 6 things, and then I like tried them all on the night before and like took pictures and was like,
I feel like also as a woman, it's really hard to decide what to wear on stage as a stand-up, because I don't know if you feel this, but I'm always kind of trying to like balance out like being attractive, but not like distractingly so, not to brag, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I know how to like dress and look really hot if I like wanted to, but I don't feel comfortable looking like super hot on stage
yeah,
as because I'm like, will they take me less seriously? Will they not laugh as much? Like, I think one time I wore a dress on stage and I bombed, and I was like, that's it, I'm never wearing a dress again. Like, it's because of the dress. So I don't, do you feel that way?
yeah. For a while, I wouldn't dress up to go. I would like always wear like jeans and a sweatshirt, and then I've been just feeling really schlumpy and like just not. I don't know. So I've been trying to dress up on stage, but I know that I haven't found like my exact middle. There's sometimes, I think because people see me with tattoos online, if I wear a sweatshirt after shows, people will be like, we thought we were going to see your tattoos.
Oh.
And then I'm like, I'm cold though.
And you're like, okay, here.
I'm like, I'm freezing in here. I want to wear a sweatshirt.
Yeah, you need like a neck tattoo.
I know. And also I wore overalls in Texas on stage, and my legs were out, and I have like really dumb tattoos on my legs, and there was this girl in the front row, and she's just like, oh look, it's a squirrel, oh look, that one's this. And I almost felt like she was like a kid looking at a coloring book pointing to everything, and I realized that it was distracting. People are just looking like trying to figure out what everything is. It's kind of like wearing an intense graphic t-shirt.
Right. Like, you want to show some, but not all, just because everyone's going to be like, oh, it's like a...
Yeah, they're like pointing and whispering like, oh, she has a SpongeBob.
Right. And then you're like, do you feel like really objectified all of a sudden? You're like,
I'm just like, oh, yeah, I don't know why I got this. I guess I have Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't know, it's just a big, I feel like so much of what you wear, even as a guy, like you don't want anything to be distracting in any kind of way, because so much is like they need to be listening closely, or else, because even if like a server comes around at the wrong moment, like they miss it, it's like, you really need like an intensely listening audience.
I feel like men have like the classic stand-up male uniform is like nice sneakers, jeans, and a shitty t-shirt. I just feel like a Target,
and then a bomber jacket if they're on late night.
Yeah. It's too straightforward for them.
I mean, we should just start wearing that.
The same thing.
Nice sneakers, jeans, and a Target t-shirt.
I always felt like it'd be so much easier to dress as a guy.
Yeah. I mean, they have like 2 options.
Yeah.
Suit or no suit.
So easy.
Yeah.
I think I always pictured like, man, I'd be the best dressed Brooklyn guy when I was in high school. I was like, I'm just wearing a t-shirt and jeans. But then as a girl, you just look awkward wearing the oversized t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah, I wore like sweatpants and a t-shirt every day in high school. And I still kind of do. But
do you feel like growing up in New York really informed who you are as a person?
Yes and no. Like, I don't think I had the quintessential like New York high school experience. Like, everyone's like, what were you like addicted to coke? And it's like, no, I was like very sheltered. But because I lived in New York and was exposed to just like diversity early on, you know, like I weirdly have a sheltered view of how accepting the world is, because I'm like, what do you mean? There's every type of person is here and we're all living fine. Like, I didn't realize till later like how behind like a lot of the country is.
Yeah.
So I feel like it in that way, like, obviously played a part. And just you get to be independent sooner in a way, because you don't have to drive. You can just, once you can take the subway alone at like 13, that's when I started going alone on the subway. Do you feel like it informed you?
Yeah, I know what you mean about like New York being so progressive, and you don't realize that other places seriously struggle till like you go on the road and you see these places. But I definitely feel like a chip on my shoulder from growing up in New York. Like, I feel like an angst and resentment towards it, like almost like you don't understand, that I've carried into my adulthood that I need to get rid of.
Totally.
Because it wasn't the experience that like in my head I wanted. Like, I didn't have like neighbors that lived near me, because I never went to school near where I lived, and like there's no like backyard, and there's no like group of friends or a group of people from my high school that are all gonna like come to a show one day. It just felt very isolating, and like taking public transportation home after like a bad day when you're a teenager. So just all of that combined definitely makes me feel like you don't understand New York.
Yeah. Like people complain about the subway. I'm like, yeah, that was every day, twice a day for me going to school, and school already sucks. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know that everyone has their challenges to everywhere you go. Okay, sorry, I'm going over. But I have to pull a tarot card.
Ooh.
I always pull a tarot card at the end of my podcast.
Okay.
So, okay.
Are you a medium?
I'm like really into tarot cards, but I'm not claiming anything here. Just see if it like reflects the energy of the podcast. What do we need to hear today? All right. A 10 of Wands. This could be good.
What does that mean?
I like to read it from the book. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The 10 of Wands. Oh, wow. Lovely. Success and honors, but at a price. Fulfilling obligations while oppressed by their weight. Striving towards deadlines, climbing a precarious ladder, and needing to reduce pressure.
Oh, no. That's exactly what's going on.
It's kind of what we're talking about. I mean, we're working hard.
Yeah. Precarious ladder.
I mean, I do feel like it's kind of what we talked about. I think stand-up is learning what you feel comfortable compromising, and I don't know. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, life is a precarious ladder.
Life is a precarious ladder.
And, you know, even if you feel like you're doing something more stable, like anything can happen. It's always precarious. And with stand-up, you're constantly taking risks and being like, oh, no, not that. Okay, not that. Okay, I took a risk and I learned that wasn't something I want to do. Or, you know, it's this constant, like, climbing up a little and then back and then,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, but success at a what was it? At a price?
Success at a price. I don't like that.
It's a little scary.
I know.
I'm like, sorry.
I guess at a price at $300,000.
Yes. Donate to the Kickstarter.
Where can people donate if they want to support you?
Oh, you can go to isabelhagen.com. All the info is there. Or you can just Venmo me at Isabel Hagen. I've been taking Venmo pledges because some people really hate Kickstarter, it turns out.
Huh.
Yeah.
Say someone's like watching this, they're like, oh, I want to help, but like I'm broke. Does it actually make a difference to give $1, or is that just...
If you give $1 to the campaign and like share it with one friend, that totally makes a difference.
Okay. So guys, give $1.
If you have $1. And if not, just like well wishes, good vibes, you know.
Where can people find you?
IsabelHagen.com or at IsabelHagen_ on Instagram.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you can find us youtube.com/Natalie Cuomo. Subscribe to the Patreon, and we'll see you next week. Bye.